Hi, George Durkee again with GS and Making Maps. And in this, the fourth video, I'm going to go over the elements that I want to see in your final map project. And that's due on Friday, November 18th. And you've got a couple of choices. You can either do exercise 5B and just follow the step-by-step. And it's written as a search, but as I've mentioned before, even if you're not into search and rescue, it gives you all of the basic tools to use when using ArcGIS Explorer. And it comes with a data package that you can load data from, and the link is in the last assignment, or it's in the files part of Canvas. And you have a second option for your final project in addition to exercise 5B, and that's to create your own map and just make sure you include the same elements that I go over in this video. So here's the basic things I want to see in your maps. And this is from a previous class, a title, and you don't necessarily have to have the time, although for search and rescue, that's nice. You should have each element labeled, so these polygons and lines are labeled. The data set comes with a legend telling you what each symbol is. Now, unfortunately, those aren't actually going to match the symbol set and colors you create, but that's fine. I just want you to get used to putting a legend in, and you'll insert this just as a JPG as it comes in the data package. A base map. Choose an effective base map. I'd go for a US topo map, but this one's okay too. But fool around and see what you think shows up best. The whole idea of a map is to just quickly and effectively show data, show what you're trying to say, and so you want to keep it simple, but there are some basic elements you do want to put in there, and the elements shown here are what I'd like to see: points, lines, polygons, labels, and that you have added data from the data set you get. So for instance, the roads and the trails here are in the data set. So add those and symbolize them with an effective color. Black's good. And you don't have too many choices in ArcGIS Explorer. Okay, so let's go to Arc Explorer, and I'm just going to quickly go over a couple of basics of using the drawing tools. Now remember, these are more than actual drawing tools. They're actually geospatially located. So when you establish a point, say, it stays on that exact spot that you've created. And so let's call this point last seen Danny, and you can fill in information or not. We lock that in place with a little pin down, so it stays there. I just said okay, and you can actually make that a little bit smaller, not a whole lot, and you can move it. Now, when you're actually doing the map, you may not want the labels or pop-ups to clutter things up, so you can actually just get rid of it and bring it in later by right-clicking and show pop-up. And again, you'll want to anchor it in place and make it smaller if you can. Notice there's a faint little white line there. This isn't great, but it's what Arc Explorer does, pointing to the point. Now you can also change the symbol by right-clicking and going to Symbol, and then scrolling down through and looking for something appropriate. the exercise comes with, I'm just going to use a little orange ball here, red sphere, and the exercise does come with some different symbols you can load. And of course, you also want to save it. So we're going to save as here, Arc Explorer map. And ideally, you're going to want to save it in your GIS data and projects folder. And notice that it saves as an NMF file. And let's call this, give it a date, 11/1/1, Danny Sar. And make sure we got the period right and hit save. And one thing I forgot to mention, and I'll just mention it here and probably again later, is when you submit your final project, I want it in PDF or a doc, a Word format, or any sort of word processing document, or a JPG image file, but I do not want the NMF project file. What happens there is that when you send that to me, I can't see a lot of the elements you've put in because a lot of the data is not included when you send me that. Some of it shows up, but a lot of it is missing. And actually next week, in a video, I'll go over how to actually share data using layer packages. And that'll be the last video of the class. Okay, so we've done a point. Let's do a line. And let's go around the lake here. Now, every time you click once, left click once to establish the line, and then you click each time you want to change direction. Now, the problem with, well, it's not a problem. We're talking a free program here, and then you double click to end it. A disadvantage of Arc Explorer is that you can't edit that line once you establish it, unlike Arc 10 or something like that. It's there, so you actually got to start all over again. So if you're doing a long and complicated drawing, you got to be pretty sure that you're putting it in the right place. So let's call this Team 1, and we'll just say search shore of lake, and we'll pin that in place. We'll go OK, and we'll move it out of the way here. The other thing to keep in mind is, to you don't want to clutter your map up. And then you can also do, you will also do polygons, and it's here under area. And let's go, same thing. You click each time to change direction. And I'm going to come down the ridge here and bring it on over to this road. Double click to end it. And there you go. And we'll call that Team 3. Now the step-by-step has you do it a little differently, but has it more complicated. But I'm just giving the basics here. And again, we'll make it a little smaller. Now we save just to make sure if something crashes, we can recover it. So those are the basic shapes you want to do in addition to bringing in data using the add content drop down here. So you'll be adding you'll be adding a GPS file, and then you'll be adding either shape files. I can't remember what comes in the layer in the data package. It might be geodatabase data. Anyway, the step-by-step tells you how to do that. And finally, you want to do the title. And so there are two choices for that under text. One is overlay text. And so that creates we'll call this search for Danny. That creates a large bit of text, boxed text up here, and that stays in place wherever you put it on the map. It does not move with the map. You're seeing my email come in. And the other is map text, and you choose a point for that to position itself, and it's located on the map. Danny Sar. And so wherever you clicked is where it's going to appear on the map. And notice as we move that around, it moves around with the map. Now, when you want to change, so you might decide that yellow or whatever color comes up is a little bit garish. So right now we're going to edit the Danny Sar title there. Where'd it go? Display, tools, tools. And so this gives you a whole palette to choose from, and you have to highlight the element that you want to edit. So for instance, let's change the text color. Let's change it to blue. Notice how it switches to blue, and let's change the background color. That's the little paint can there, and let's change that to white. Okay, it's not bad. And then you can change the text size, font size. You can make it smaller, and notice the box goes along with it, or larger. And it gives quick styles, so you can fool around with those to see what you come up with, and you can enter. Edit the text itself. Pinecrest Lake, we'll add that. And that changes the text itself. And you do the same thing for the text that's set in one place. A couple of other things you can do here. Notice if we go back here to the shapes you can draw, you can do an arrow. So this often can be combined with the text tool. So we can draw an arrow here, and you start at the point you want the arrow to go, and you go back, and you can move it around that point. And I made it smaller than I want. Now let's do that again. So it's a note, but let's get rid of it. Remove, you right click and remove. Yep, okay, let's take two. Arrow. And let's start in the lake there. There we go, okay, Pinecrest. You may not even want to have a note here because if you combine it with the Danny Sar Pinecrest Lake, say, let's just cancel that and get rid of it. So notice they all move together. Those are geospatially located. Okay, and let's save. And now we're going to print this. This is not ideal. I've cluttered it up with a lot. So again, just follow the directions and make it as simple as you can. And let's take a look at an example again of what works. Let's go in a little closer. There we go. So again, title, pin your labels, pop-ups in place, legend, and then the symbology, what you draw in, and that's about it. And now let's print and export. Ideally, you should be able, if you've got the PDF Adobe Acrobat, I think that comes with a printer driver. So you can go to print and you enter a title. And this actually, if you do it this way, this puts in another title on the map, Danny Search. You choose portrait or landscape, and the map is landscape, so that would be what you want to do. And then I'm not printing it. I'm going to print it to Adobe PDF. Unfortunately, there's a glitch, and has been with the last couple of versions of this, in that it doesn't show, let's call this, we'll give it a 61111 Danny Sar. I'm going to put it on my desktop. You would want to put it into your projects, or I'm sorry, not projects, into your, well, okay, we'll do it if I can get to it. Let's go to the C drive, and let's go to GIS data, base data, and you want to put it in products, ideally. But again, you're just sending this to me. But you do want to get into the habit of saving things into logical places and giving the file name a logical name such that you can find it again. And when you find it, you know what's in it. So let's save. Now this will automatically create a PDF. But I'm pretty sure there's going to be a glitch here, and I'll show you the workaround. Yeah, you'll notice that in my version, unfortunately, it shows the text boxes here and the arrows, and it shows the polygons and points that I created, but it doesn't show the labels. And I've even written the folks at Esri, and this is a glitch that keeps coming up, but a lot of people, it doesn't happen on their computers. So the workaround, if it happens to you, is to make a screenshot of the map. And so I actually have a, I use Snagit as a capture window, but otherwise you just press the print screen button on your function keys. And so I'm gonna just make a screenshot of the whole map. And if you have that ability to just choose the section, obviously you just choose the map. And then you would want to bring it into some sort of word processing program. So I have Word up here, and I have a blank Word document. And so what we do is we go to Layout, and we give the margins as narrow as possible. And Orientation, we make it landscape. And then I'm going to copy and paste, and Control V, and I paste the map. And notice how that's the whole image of the map, but of the workspace, and that's okay. You know, if you submit that to me, I'm happy. But if you're a perfectionist, or at least a careful person within Word, you can actually crop that, and just go to the crop button, and then let's put it down there. Let's get rid of the table of contents, and there we go. And then we can resize it. Oops. And then save it. Once again, well, I'm going to put it on my desktop. Unless it's in recent places, let's find out. Products, there we go. And same thing, give it a name, date, but I'm just going to go quickly, Danny Sar, and save it. And there you go. And I can print that as PDF, and all of that will come out okay. And then email it to me. And not to belabor this too much, but not the NMF file, PDF, doc, JPEG. Okay, that's all I have. And like I said, the next video, and there'll be no, it's more for your information, but next week's video will be on how to create layer packages and send data from Arc Explorer. So you may want to send data you've just quickly, geospatial data you've just quickly created. You may want to send it to ArcGIS 10 or something like that, or to someone else who can bring it into Arc 10 and make a better map. Okay, thanks a lot. Looking forward to your projects.